Hello and welcome to episode 60 of KnitScents. My name is Jan and you can find me as Jan Ellen RN on Ravelry and also on Instagram. You can also find me as KnitScents on Instagram. I've been trying to sort of connect the two so that if people are looking for me as KnitScents on Instagram, that I'm there as well, but basically they're kind of the same. Just the Jan Ellen RN one, I think, needs permission, or that's kind of like a block one, whereas the KnitScents one is, you can just follow me. So either one, if you do want to follow me as Jan Ellen on Instagram as Jan Ellen RN, just let me know when you request that you're a knitter of some kind or whatever, so that I will just approve your request. We also have a KnitScents, we have a KnitScents group on Facebook, only I am very not Facebook savvy. So if Facebook is your preferred social media outlet, then please join me over there, because right now the only one over there is me. And I do post on that Facebook page. It's a KnitScents Facebook page. It's not a closed group or anything, so I think you can just either like the page or join it. I don't even think it's a group. I think it's just a fan page, something like that. But I think it will notify you if you just like the page that I've uploaded a new episode. But we can take it further and we can make that Facebook group anything you like. If you happen to be Facebook savvy, join me over there and help me along. That would be good. We also do have a Facebook, a KnitScents podcast group. Clearly I need something in this soda. It's not just Diet Coke. We also have a KnitScents podcast group on Ravelry, where we have a whip along going on, and I know I'm late in drawing the prize for the works in progress. I had locked that thread, I believe on September 1st when I was going to do the drawing. I didn't get a chance, but I do have, but the thread was locked at that point. And I do have everyone's name here and number, a random number generator ready to go. So we will be pulling for that today in today's episode. I'd like to welcome any new viewers that we have, and say hello, and I'd certainly like to welcome back all of my viewers that have been with me for a while. If you haven't already, whether you're a new viewer or you've been with me a while, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button. I think I put a red one right here on the video. If not, there is definitely a subscribe button underneath. And also there is a notification bell, so if you ring that notification bell, you'll be notified of any episodes or content that I upload. And I think that's pretty much it for housekeeping stuff. I know I'm late, I'm a week late recording, but everything's cool. We're not going back to, you know, big gaps and whatnot, just a little life stuff got in the way there for a while. Which is why I'm a little overdue in pulling for the prize for the whip end of the whip along. But everything here seems to be going along okay. So I hope everything is good where you are and everybody is enjoying a very good, very late summer. Heading into fall, it's starting to feel a little bit like fall here. We're not having those really brutal hot temperatures, thank God, anymore. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to having some really nice fall weather. And Rhinebeck coming up, so that should be lots of fun. And I do want to mention that I will be at Rhinebeck. So if you are there and you see me, please come up and say hello. I would love to meet you in person. I'm totally harmless. Just come up and say hello. I would love to meet you. I would be like probably more flabbergasted if somebody actually recognized me, came up and said hello. So please, if you see me at Rhinebeck, please come up and say hello. What else? What else? What else? What else? There's really nothing else going on new. So I guess we could probably just jump into the knitting. Oh, let me just tell you, this episode will have knitting. I have some spinning. I don't actually, I sort of have a finished spinning object, but I can't say it's finished yet. So let's just say I have some spinning. I do have some stash enhancement, but it was ordered before my complete and total yarn diet, and 2 of them were clubs that I'm not giving up. I'm absolutely, in fact, I re-signed up for next year. So I do have a little bit of stash enhancement, and I do have a really beautiful fragrance this week. So, which I will timestamp below. So if you're not into the fragrance end of it, you'll know when that's going to come up. And if you are here only for the fragrance end of it, you'll know how to cut out all of the knitting and spinning and all of that stuff and shoot right ahead to the fragrance part. So why don't we just jump in and let's start with the knitting. I have been literally just totally plugging away at the test knit that I'm doing for Laura Nelkin. And I know I had mentioned it, and I did show some of it because we were told we could show parts and we could show pieces and things, but just not the completed garment until the pattern was released. So here's where I'm at, and I'm going to try to do this with as little information as I can. I know this is going to be really, really thrilling. So without spoiling too much, I think it's safe to say that I can say it is a sweater. It is a garment. Let's put it that way. I'm going to say it's a sweater. It's a garment. And I started with the sleeves. The sleeves were both done. I knit the body. I actually, and I think I did mention in my last episode that I had to re-knit one of the sleeves. I really didn't have to, and hindsight being 2020, once I did get to join the sleeves, I probably could have pulled it off. But as you know, test knitting it, you want to make sure that when you do follow the pattern exactly right, that it is going to work right. So I felt kind of almost obligated to re-knit it because there was a change made in the document that I was not, and I foolishly was not referring back to the document. And if you've ever test knit, there's usually a document and it's kind of like a work in progress. So you do have to refer back to it to see if there are changes made, because that's the point of test knitting, to see if there are mistakes and to correct the mistakes. So at any rate, that was really the only one. And again, the re-knitting was really my choice. It really didn't have to be re-knit, but I decided to do it because I had some time. So I ended up blocking the garment. There was a reason, which I will explain when I'm able to show the whole thing. So I did have a few days where I was working on something else. So now that I've spoken all about this thing, let me just, I'm going to pull it out of the bag here, and I'm just going to show you pieces of it. Secret. I can't show the whole thing. But let's see. I'm going to show, what am I going to show? I'm going to show, I did attach a sleeve. So let's see. This is my left sleeve. So I am going to put on my left sleeve right here. There is a thumb hole. Now, if I don't even want to say if, because I will be knitting this again. I will make my sleeves probably shorter. So you can see the front. Okay, you can see the front. A little something going on over there. And you can see the sleeve. And this pattern, okay, and you might recognize it because it is a pattern that Laura has used before in her artichoke French sweater. So that pattern may look familiar. The yarn that I'm using is Jill Draper Empire, And I was a little confused when I ordered it. She actually has it in a very large put up, which is, I believe, 1,200 and something yards, which for my size, the size that I chose to make, which is probably one size larger than was my size, but I prefer my sweaters to be a little bit oversized. And the ease in this one, this isn't like those sweaters that are very popular now with like, you know, 10 to 20 inches of ease, which we've all learned from me is overkill. But on the other hand, I did want this a little bit larger, so I chose to do a size up than would normally be called for in this pattern. So I think that was partially, I should have gone according to the length of the sleeve on this, probably the smallest size, because my arms are like, I don't have arms. They're just kind of appendages that hang there. They don't serve any purpose. I can't reach anything anyway, but at any rate, I digress. So you will see this pattern throughout. So we did get this sort of put somewhat together, and I'm going to show you. I still have it on the needles, and like I said, there's a little something something going on over there, but I am also going to show the front. Okay, so you could get a really good look at what's going on here. Here's my sleeve right here. It is all attached, okay, and there's a front. I do have the other front done, but I can't show it. I'm not going to show the whole thing. But pattern is due out. We're hoping that the pattern will be due out in the beginning of October. I know we have to have these done by October 1st, I think was the deadline for test knitting. And I'm on track to get it done, hopefully before then. I'm just waiting for a little something something. I know. Listen, if you tell me not to spoil, I'm not going to spoil. But what I will say is this. I don't know that unless you're a speed knitter, the pattern is going to be out in time for a Rhinebeck sweater, unless you're a speed knitter. It is not a difficult pattern to follow. There is a lot of knitting involved, but not complicated knitting. So unless you're, depending on when the pattern comes out, actually Rhinebeck is what, like the 17th, 18th something? Yeah, I don't think this is doable for Rhinebeck. However, if you are going to Rhinebeck, Jill Draper will be having, I believe, her open house. I think you can check on her Ravelry group when the tickets will be available for that. And she will have, and what I was saying before, and I got sidetracked, I'm knitting this out of, and the pattern calls for Jill Draper Empire, which again, she puts up in 1,200 something skeins. But then she also has what she calls Empire Mini, which at first I thought was like these mini skeins, and I'm like, I'm gonna need like 25 of these mini skeins. It's not. The mini is what actually refers to as more of the normal size put up. I think it's some 200 and something yards. So it's what, and it's an Aran weight. So it's like the mini is considered like a normal put up, whereas the Empire is a 1,200 yard skein, which I would have to cut up anyway because there's no way I could get that onto my ball winder. I had enough trouble just keeping that thing from busting, winding up all these skeins. So anyway, it would be a great opportunity if you are going to Rhinebeck to pick up the yarn. I believe she's going to have a large array of colors in the Empire and the Empire Mini for this particular sweater. So keep an eye open, keep your eye out. I will say this, I will be living in this. Okay, enough said. All right, so that really took up the bulk of my knitting time because I wanted this done, and I really do want it done before the deadline of October 1st when we you know, are supposed to have it finished. And I don't think there'll be any problem with that, depending on when what I need comes, but it's not really a big deal. And it's already been blocked. So And I wove in most of the ends. Can you believe that? I wove in most of the ends. That's like unheard of. So hopefully in the next 2 episodes or so, I will be able to show you it as an FO. But when I blocked it, because it is an Aran weight and it is very, very heavy, I wanted to give it, and I needed to give it enough time to fully dry before I continued on. So I was able to pick up my 2 things actually, but one thing that I really wanted to, and I'm still hoping that I can get it done in time for Rhinebeck. I'm not really holding my breath, but it is my Soldatna crop that I had started, I don't know how long ago, and did like, I think didn't even get into the color work. And if I did, it was minimal, and then just let it go. So I picked it back up again, and here's where I am at. Okay, so I went and picked it up. I knew I had started it, and I've been having like just these blank moments of like, where did I buy that and when did I get that? And I knew I had gotten the yarn for it. In fact, I think I got 2 sets of yarn for it and ended up going with this one. Like I said, I did start it, and I couldn't remember because I did get, I think, the Magpie fibers is what I'm doing this in. Let's just check and make sure that I'm not making all of this up. Let's see. Magpie, no, I'm sorry. It's House of Alamode. It's House of Alamode. And I think where I got it, once I thought about it, my memory did come back, and I believe that I bought this at Brooklyn General in Brooklyn, New York. Anyway, I did work on this and get some of the color work done, and the jury's out on whether or not I like these colors. The woman in this store kind of, you know me, I cannot pick colors myself. It's a disaster when I do. So the woman helped me pick these out, and I have to say, up until I added in the yellow, I loved it. These 3 colors I loved, and she was like, well, the yellow will pop, and if you look, and I'm gonna hold this up and see if you can tell. Actually, you know what, let me get the skein out, because the thinking was, if you look, oh, let's see if we can get this to focus. Yeah, if you look in the, here we go, in the speckled skein, you can see that there is a bit of orange in there. Come on, focus for me. There you go. So that's why she decided to pick out this yellowy orange over here and use that color to pop. I think we all went a little, you know me, a little over the top. And at first, when I started here, because you work from working this way, okay? So when I started with this yellow and black here, and I have to tell you, to me right now in the monitor, this is showing up as orange. It is yellow. It is yellow, goldy yellow. This started to look like a bumblebee going on here. Literally started with the stripes and the black. This truly had a bumblebee thing going on here that was really not ringing my bells. So I was like, all right, well, we'll keep going and we'll try. And we got past that, and I've switched over now to where the burgundy is with the yellow. And then I think the body of the sweater will be in this lighter color. Hopefully maybe with just some pops of the yellow or whatnot, but the body of it will be with this. The black will not be up against this yellow for the bulk of the sweater, because I think at that point I'd have to rip this out and rethink this. Because like I said, at the top, you know, if the rest of it is done in this light, nice light, really pretty color, I can live with it. I could probably live with the nice pop of color at the top, not a problem. But if I see too much more of it, I think I'm gonna have to call it a day and you know, there's just only so much bumblebee that I can handle. What I did want to say was, and I will show you the other project that I'm working on in Colorwork that came along in the mail while I was waiting for my other project to dry. Now I have had this for a while, and I'm not sure, I'm sure you've all seen it before. I don't know how many of you actually knit this way. Let's try. All right, and what this one is just a very inexpensive little plastic one right here. And what it is you put this on your finger and it allows you to hold both strands of yarn in the same, oh, let me put it, it's twisted up now, I'm just giving you the idea. It allows you to hold both strands of yarn on the one finger and knit in your typical fashion. So you don't have to use two hands, you don't have to drop one and pick it back up again. I typically, up until I really decided I was going to try to make this work, I typically used both hands. So I was a double-handed stranded knitter. And that worked fine for me. I didn't have any problem with that. But I do remember, and I've taken the course from Knit Stars with Arne and Carlos. And Arne in particular has, from being a Norwegian knitter, being taught to knit from his Norwegian grandmother, has a very strong opinion, and I personally think he's right, about color dominance and tension when it comes to color work. And his thinking is it should not make any difference. In fact, the way he holds his yarn, in which hands, he also does two-handed knitting, but he holds the color that on each row that has the most stitches in his dominant hand. He is a continental knitter, as most Norwegian knitters are. So if there's more in this row, say if there's more yellow, he'll hold the yellow in his left hand. On the next row, if there's more of this burgundy, he'll hold that one in his left hand, because his feeling is that the tension should be the same, should remain consistent in both hands. And if it's not, then you need to try something else, or you need to do something so that your tension is consistent. Then, because the reason you have color dominance is that one stitch is a little bit larger than the other, meaning your tension in both stitches is not the same. And you want to try to avoid that. In color work, you want your tension to be as even as it possibly can be. Let's see if I can block myself out there. So that's what I've been working on, and I felt, let me just see if that's showing up. Let's see. I'm trying to like hide myself. Okay, there we go. Giving this a chance to focus, but I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to keep trying to focus on me. All right, anyway. So I decided to try, and I've done this before and wasn't too successful with it, using one of these yarn guides. And I haven't gotten it yet. I ordered one that was that's handmade from Finland, because I'm really enjoying using this. So I will put the link to her Etsy shop below, and as soon as I get it, obviously I will show it. It works exactly the same way as this one does. And I just want to point out, when you use a yarn guide like this one, you still are able to tell, or to have one remain consistent in which yarn you're bringing from underneath. So if you do have inconsistent tension and you want to remain or choose one color to be dominant, dominant is always left. Whichever color is toward the furthest left, that color will be dominant. So in this case, if my tension is not even, I'm trying to show the side. This, as you can see, the yellow would be the dominant color, and then the burgundy. Okay? And there are 4 slots, I believe, in here. And again, you would go from left to right, with right being the background color. But what I have found is that really what the trick is with using this is in how you tension your yarn. And I found that actually using this has helped my floats be looser, because when you're knitting 3 stitches in one of the colors, the other color is naturally getting extra. It's actually leaving extra yarn because you're using up one, but the other one is pulling along as well. And that, when you then go to grab it, it's actually already formed a really nicely formed float. Not too long, not too short. And if you feel it's too short, just give a little extra tug with your finger. So that's what I've been doing on this one. And I will show you the other thing that I've been working on color work wise, also using this yarn guide. And like I said, it was useful enough, and I'm really enjoying doing color work, to order the one that's in sterling. That one doesn't close. That one is open. And again, I will link to her Etsy shop below. And she was very communicative, very, very easy to work with. But you do have to wait because she's located in Finland. So I'm sure it's going to take a little while for it to get to me. But to sum all that up, here's my soldadna. That's all I've gotten done so far. But I am hoping that once I have finished the knitting on my test knit, that I can really focus on this. And I have a month till Rhinebeck. So I'm hoping that I will actually have this as a Rhinebeck sweater as well. And let us not forget my re-knit up weekender, which I actually have not worn to Rhinebeck because I knit it 14 sizes too big. So I do have that to wear this year to Rhinebeck as well. So that's a second work in progress. And I do have one other one that I cast on because it came, so it's sort of stash enhancement, sort of work in progress. This is from my Lola's Choice Club, which is Laura Nelkin's smaller club. This is every other month, and it's always a smaller project. I know I have mentioned her originally her M Club, which was 4 large projects spaced throughout the year. They used to be 2 were mystery, 2 were regular, and then last year she changed it over to the N Club, and it was 3 projects in the year, and they weren't mysteries. So that is but it's a larger project, much more yardage, more involved, and that's 3 times during the year. The Lola's Choice kits are sort of, I like to think of them as palette cleansers. And these kits are much smaller, they're much faster, quicker knits. There's been jewelry items, little scarflets, some with beads, some without. Trying to think what else we've knit. Socks, there's been a pair of little shorty socks, which I loved. And I saw this one and I just absolutely loved it. It is a hat. And it is a hat. This is the logo. Well, let me cover up here what we've got. Okay, because I don't want to spill the secret sauce. This is the Lola's Choice. Actually, you can do it on this side. That's her logo. Does it show? There we go. And what she did was she kind of planned it out into a design on a hat. And she also included a tag with the logo on it. I just thought this was so cute. So I decided how long could it take to knit a hat. So I decided to cast that on. And this is the little leather tag that goes along, and this is going to be, let's see if I have it on the right way. this will be sewn onto the brim of the hat. And I think you can see, I will show you in a second. Let's just stick this one back in here because I'm already past the color work. And here is the logo. Is that not, I mean, I thought it was just absolutely adorable. I had to do this. I had to cast it on. I had to knit it. It was so much fun. But you can see, and a lot of times with my color work, while I'm knitting it, it's puckering. So that's how I knew that my tension was not great and I had some tension issues. Now, I had taken a class, and oh Lord, I can't remember who it was with at this point. I know I talked about it in a previous podcast, but the upshot of it was that the conclusion we came to was that part of my problem was I was catching my floats way too frequently, like every 3 stitches, that was the most, and then I would catch my floats, and that was making them a little too tight and causing some puckering. And also they were a little bit, like I said, I did have some tension issues. And as you can see, this one, there's no puckering here. I don't even see, and when it blocks, it will block even more open. And I'm going to flip this over and show the floats. They're not terribly loose, but you can see they're, you know, just a nice length float. So, and this was knit also with that yarn guide. I think there's a name for it. I don't know if it's called a yarn guide, something like that. Well, anyway, I am really loving this. Now, I have to knit, the directions say to knit this to 7.5 inches or more if you want it slouchy. I'm not the slouchy hat type. I kind of like to keep it not too poofy up here with too much business going on. And you can add a pom-pom if you like, and I love them on the top of my hats, but not if the hat's going to be pulled down, you know, that doesn't look right. So I think I'm almost at the point where, and I'm going to put this on with the logo in the front. Oh, there we go. Everything's backwards. Now I can't even see. Oh yeah, this is going really well. Okay, I think it's time to stop now. There we go. Okay. Stitches are probably falling off the needle, but you can see the logo is in the front. Hat fits me beautifully. I'm actually going to take my glasses off for a second. This is fitting me perfectly. There were a couple of sizes. I think there were at least 4 sizes. I didn't make the smallest one. I made the second to smallest one. And it does give measurements to measure your head and whatnot, which I did. I don't remember what my head measured, but it ain't too big. Which explains a lot. It definitely does explain a lot. And to be perfectly honest, I probably could have gone down a size and been totally fine. Anyway, so I know that the crown decreases are really gonna make a lot more fabric going on here. And again, like I said, I do not want this very slouchy. So I think this is either at 7.5 or very close to it. So, wow, now my hair is gonna look great. So I'm about to start the decreases on this, and this is like just a couple of night projects. It's not a big, but these are great. Like I said, these are great palette cleansers. And after the heavy knitting of the sweater and the focusing on the Soldatna, this was really fun to pick up. There's 2 yarns. One is Let Lopi by Lopi. And I've used this yarn a lot. In fact, I had taken one, it used to be Craftsy, now I think it's Blueprint. I had taken a course with, oh, I can't remember her name. Oh, she's not teaching it anymore. I don't even know if the course is still available, but we did a sweater out of this yarn. And I know a lot of people don't like it. They say it's very itchy and whatnot, but for stranded color work, it really is great because it's got great tooth to it. And the whole point is you kind of want your floats, and you want, especially if you're going to steek something, you want it to be toothy because you kind of almost want it to felt a little bit. But this yarn does soften up. The more you wash it, the softer it gets. So, and for a hat, what Laura did, because Laura's alter ego, has a very sensitive forehead, didn't want anything itchy on her forehead. So instead, she did the brim in Barocco Catena, which I had never used before, probably would not gravitate toward it because it is a, I don't want to say chain ply, but maybe it is a chain ply. It's definitely one of those dimensional yarns, but I don't think it's a chain ply. This is, it's kind of weird, but it's like a very rounded yarn. Let's put it that way. Let's see if it even says on here. Doesn't say. Extra fine merino and nylon. So I didn't even think it was all merino. Well, it is. Anyway, super, super, super soft. And I would never, like I said, have looked at this yarn before, but now I actually would seriously contemplate making a sweater out of this because it's wool, but this is light. It is very, very, very light. It's not a heavy wool. So this is a great combination. So it's a good palette cleanser. It's almost finished. Clearly, I don't need a hat right now, so I'm not in any rush to finish it. But I did want to start it because I thought it would be a fun project to work on. And I'm glad I did because it got me started knitting with that yarn guide and got me on my way. So that is it with knitting. And that was part of the reason why, you know, I kind of delayed recording because all I was working on was something I couldn't show. I was like, well, that's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch. Moving on to spinning. I finished plying my Butterfly Effect. It was from, I think, the 2014 Luxe Club from Into the World. I had shown the bobbins along the way. And here it is. I have not wound it off yet. That I haven't done. But let's see if I can get this on there. That's the full bobbin plied. And let's see, how are we going to show this? Let's see if we can do it this way. There we go. Let's see. Will that show? Maybe if I do it this way, it will show better. Now, this was one of the first times my default is to chain ply. And seeing all these projects now coming out with Spin Cycle, which is essentially barber poling, which was like, you don't want a barber pole, you don't want a barber pole, but essentially Spin Cycle yarn is basically applying two different colors together and getting a beautiful color changing effect. So I figured, you know, let me try a 2-ply. And I'm really glad I did. I have no idea how many yards I have. This bobbin is supposed to hold about 8 ounces. And you can see it's maybe, I don't even think it's 3/4 full, because if you look on this side looks like it's more half full. But I did learn a few things when I was plying, and I think I addressed them in my last video regarding the starling. And the most prominent one was that I think the foot pedal is not really, I mean, it's definitely not a must-have, and you can certainly function without one, but certainly for plying you really do want to have that foot pedal, because you don't want to have to keep taking your hands off of your yarn. You want control over that yarn. So that's what came out of this. Was actually my first full spin on the Daedalus Starling Mini. I love the wheel. I have absolutely no complaints with it. In fact, I did order 3 more bobbins, which I did get in the same color, in the purple, if you've seen my wheel. If not, I believe my last video I did show my wheel, and I do have, and I will put a card up here of the Daedalus review that I did. But bear in mind, in that video I did say that I hadn't really even used the foot pedal, and I think I've kind of changed my mind at this point, that I probably would say it's $25. It's not like it's a huge big ticket item. I would say if you're going to buy the wheel, get the foot pedal. I think you're going to be happy that you didn't. To be perfectly honest with you, I usually don't operate it with my foot. I just put it under my arm and I just hit it with my elbow or hit it with my knee or something, depending on whether I'm sitting down or sitting back in a reclining chair or something, and just use it that way. And this way my hands don't have to leave what I'm working on. I can control it. Otherwise, I have to take at least one hand off to use the buttons or the wheel to control, to turn the machine on and off. And that also potentially can mess up the speed that I have the wheel going at. So having said all that, I would say that I would absolutely recommend getting the foot pedal. So I will wind this off onto a nitty knotty, which is my least favorite task, and give it its bath, and hopefully next episode I will be able to tell you somewhat close to how much yards, how many yards, not how much yards, how many yards. Please be kind, I'm tired. And I still have to barbecue lamb chops. I know, it's ridiculous. You cook them dinner one night, they expect it the next night, and the next night, and the next night. I'm like, that's what pizza's for. I mean, seriously, this pizza place right across the street. This McDonald's right across the street. Every night? Anyway, rant is over. So that is my spinning. I finished my plying, and I will hopefully be started. I've already picked out a new braid, I think, which I am going to chain ply. I'm thinking of chain plying because I really do want to see how that goes on the Daedalus. If not, if I don't like the way it's working on that, I will switch and ply it on one of my other wheels. But I really do want to see how well it works with chain plying, so I will likely chain ply my next project. Moving on to stash enhancement. Clearly one of the things I got was the Lola kit, which I did show you, which was the hat. The other thing that I got, and I did order this a while ago, so this was before I'm absolutely not bringing any more yarn in the house unless it's in a kit, but I wouldn't want this anyway. This is from Desert Vista Dyeworks, Susan, who I absolutely adore, and I am so thrilled that she is going to be at Rhinebeck this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing her, and because of that, I had to be wearing her socks, right? And this is a colorway that she just came out with. It is called Somebody's Going to Rhinebeck. So let's see if I can get this to focus on that. And this is just beautiful fall colors. I had to have this skein, and I mean, who doesn't need a pair of Rhinebeck socks, right? You need a Rhinebeck sweater, you need Rhinebeck socks. Not that I don't have any. So I already have what was going to be my April socks in Susan's club. I did January, February, and March. I did my socks. I cast on for April, and I got one sock finished, and I have this much, which I think I showed last episode. That's exactly the same amount that's still on there. So I need to finish that second sock, because if I don't, I will be hopping in one sock if I cast these on first. So I have to finish that sock and then run through and really quickly, and I think I'm going to do these with a true afterthought heel, and get these done before Rhinebeck. I got my work cut out for me. Okay, so that was one thing. The other thing that came was the last shipment in this year's 2019 Laura Nelkin's N Club. And as I was telling you before, the N Club is a 3-time-a-year kit shipment, and it's a larger project. Her Lola Club is every other month. Like I said, it's jewelry, it's hats, it's socks. We've done mitts, we've done necklaces, we've done a lot of cuffs, things like that. This is a larger project. We've done a lot of shawls with this. I think one of them was like a shrug type thing. The last one, which I loved, was, and I believe I showed it on an episode, I still haven't blocked it, was this cowl that you pull over your neck, but you pull it down. It comes down over your shoulders, which I really should block because it's great for this time of year. Well, this is the new kit. So if you are a member of the N Club and have not gotten your kit yet, I'm going to put up a spoiler alert here. So if you don't want to see if you haven't gotten your kit yet, but what was in the kit was a cone of Julie Aslin yarns and threads, nurtured fine. It's 100% fine wool. This is Rambouillet, Targhee, and Merino, North American fibers, and this is 875 yards. I don't see the name of a color. The color says Lavora, so I'm assuming that this may be a custom colorway for Laura's Knit Along. And the best part is it's all wound up on a cone, so I don't have to do anything with it. Laura always includes a treat, so there's some chocolate wafers inside here, and also inside the cone are the beads that we're going to be using. So I'm assuming this, because there aren't all that many beads, and these look like they're size 6 beads. And since this is such a fine yarn, I'm going to take a guess and say that we're going to be placing beads and not pre-stringing them, but that's totally a guess on my part. The pattern will not be revealed. She'll be doing a live reveal. I don't remember if I said, she said it was the 20th or the 22nd on her private Facebook group, but if you're a member of the club, that's where that's going to be. And we also did get this year's 2019 N Club bag, and I have collected all of Laura's bags. I love them. There's always in each kit of her N Club, there is the yarn, there is the pattern, obviously is included. This time, since she started the N Club, you have the option of whether or not you want to include beads. That's optional. And so that's, you know, if you're not a bead fan or you're not, you know, fond of beading, you have the option of leaving those out. This is the card. So this is the little teaser. It will be called Afresh. The pattern, again, like I said, is not out yet, but you can see already we're going to be doing something with these little holes in it. Looks like some garter stitch. So that is the teaser. I remembered my jazz hands. Okay, spoiler alert is over. Okay, so that was all I got in terms of yarn and stuff. Like I said, I am really trying to be really, really good. But I did see, and oh my goodness. Okay, AdoreKnit had an update in her shop, and I just went crazy. I went a little crazy. Because like I said, when it came to bags and stitch markers and doodads and needles and other things, I make no promises. So I went a little heavy in on the stitch markers, but these were adorable. And again, the name of the shop is AdoreKnit. I will link it below. Now, come on, how do you say no to Snoopy holding a pumpkin and then all these fall colored stitch markers? You need those, right? And he's also a progress keeper. Watch, I'm going to drop that. So I don't know if you could tell there, but he's a progress keeper. How cute is that? You know, come on, you have to. So that, I picked that up on her update, but I didn't stop there. I saw this and I had to have it. It was a rainbow progress keeper. And she also included some extra little goodies in there, which was so sweet. So thank you. I really, really appreciate that. I got this rainbow, which was beautiful, right? And that's the progress keeper. And with it were a bunch of rainbow. Let me see if I can make this show up any better. Rainbow stitch markers. And these are, you know, I have so many fancy, you know, those intricate ones that are clay made, and oh my gosh, I don't know how those people have the patience to sit there with toothpicks and whatnot. They are absolutely stunning though. I mean, I'll buy them. I wouldn't make them if you paid me to. Could never do it, but I'll be happy to buy them. They're absolutely gorgeous. But to be honest, these ring type stitch markers are my absolute favorite because they're easy. They don't leave gaps. Some stitch markers tend to be so big and so thick that you end up with a ladder going down your knitting. If you're getting ladders and you're using some of them real fancy stitch markers, take a look because that may be why. So these little ring ones really are my favorite ones. But alas, I didn't stop there. I got one other set. Now you'll know I had to do it. Especially this time of year, I had to get this one. I'm actually just going to turn it around and show you like it is. There you go. Yep, it's a heart with the New York Yankees logo, the NY. I had to. They are going by hook or by crook to the postseason, so I had to get that. And this set also came along with a Progress Keeper. Let me see, I can't even get this open. My fingers are so sore from all that knitting. It came, the NY is a Progress Keeper, but it also came with a stitch marker of a ball and a bat. And I saw that and I was like, all right, now I may need 2 sets of these. I think there's only one available, otherwise I would have gotten 2. And of course, the stitch markers are blue and white with one red one in there for, I suppose, an end of round marker, but they are Yankee colors. However, this may have been the last Yankee one, but I do believe that she has all teams, or what did at one point have all baseball teams. I think there were actually football teams there as well. So again, I will have her site linked below. If you are interested in any of these stitch markers, she is an absolute pleasure to purchase from. These came in these little adorable bags in this really cute little envelope. I mean, how adorable is that? So that is all I have. That's it. So what I'm going to do before I go on to the fragrance section is I am going to pull for the prize winner for our in progress. So that's anyone who posted in progress photos on that thread for our whip along, which is ending September 30th. Now, I will lock the thread on the 30th, but I will not be drawing until I record next after the 30th because there's holiday in there. So I'm probably actually going to be locking the thread. Well, I'll lock it on the 30th. We'll give you till the 30th. May actually end up giving you until the 2nd of October to get in your finished object pictures. So let's do it that way. You have until October 2nd to put your finished objects in that thread that is still open. And I think I made that a no chatter thread. So anything that you've started in September and finished by the end of September, by the 30th, October 2nd, put a picture, a photo of your finished objects, and the only rule is you need to be a member of the group, and post a finished object picture, and to have started the project in sometime August, September. That's right, it was in August, September. So anything that you started as of August 1st and finished by October 2nd, you can put the and this, we're going on the honor system here. Nobody's gonna hold, you know, we're not sending out the finished object police. So please put your finished object photo in that thread. And again, after the holidays, I will be pulling for the prize that I did show, which is the yarn and the pattern from Long Island Yarn and Farm, which is Tabitha. And the prize that we're pulling today is also from Long Island Yarn and Farm. It is her Shepherdess Salve, which I got the honey almonds because that's kind of like was the least, it was the most. I can say that for the upcoming colder weather or whatnot, for severely dry skin, this stuff will do it. So without any further ado, I am going to pull up my random number generator. We had a total of 7 entries. So I am going to put in from number 1 to, hope I can figure out how to use this, to number 7. I'm going to click randomize, and the winner is number 1. And that is May J 2911. So Mary, you have won this jar of Shepherdess salve. I hope you enjoy it. Please PM me on Ravelry, or why do I keep slamming my hand on this? Please PM me on Ravelry, or by any means you can get in touch with me. I think you may have my number. However, just get me your full name and your address, and I will send this out to you. Congratulations. I really hope you enjoy this. And I have to just say before I launch into my fragrance part that I really, really appreciated every single person who participated in this knit along. I know it's 7 entries, and everyone else are like, you know, to me it's everything. To have, that's the most participation we've had in any knit along so far, and I just appreciate so much everybody who takes, whether you watch for 5 minutes, you watch the whole episode, whether you zip through, just the fact that you watch and the participation just really means everything to me. So I just want to thank every single person who participated, everyone who watches, who has subscribed in the past few months. I can't thank you enough. So having said all of that, and before this starts to get mushy, we're gonna go on to scents. Okay, so that was perfect timing to start scents because the battery in my camera died. So yeah, this time it definitely was the camera battery. I only hope that it recorded up until I turned it off. But anyway, so this week's scent is another one, a brand new scent that just came out. It came out literally, I think a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago maybe, for the fall. And it is by Christian Dior, and it is Dior Joy Oh Intense. Okay, so let me show you the bottle. This bottle is really, really pretty. It has a beautiful silver cap, which is magnetic. And it's almost like a cut glass. I'm hoping it's showing up there. And a nice pink colored liquid inside. So it's very pretty to sit on your shelf. But I have to tell you, I was kind of reluctant with this one. I was not a fan of the original Dior Joy. So when I heard that this one came out, I didn't rush right away to go get it. I waited to see, and if you're not familiar with the site Fragrantica, which I will put a link below, that's a great place to go. And I know I've mentioned it before, so I won't go on and on about it, but that's a great place to go to hear people's opinions of new fragrances, to get the notes. It gives you the background behind the fragrance, all of that. So I wasn't too much in a rush because, like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of the original Joy. But I do like, there are many Dior fragrances that I am a fan of and that I do like. So I waited a bit, and I started to see very mixed reviews coming in. So I said, all right, well, this is one I'm going to have to go out and just spray for myself. And one spray did it. I fell in love with this fragrance. I was obsessed. So let me just tell you what the main accords of the fragrance are. It is balsamic, there's rose, aromatic, musky, vanilla, and woody. Those are the main accords, but let me give you then the notes. The top notes are neroli and bergamot, and I'm gonna say that you do get, when you first spray it, you do get a good, little bit on the neroli, heavy on the bergamot. And I am not a huge bergamot lover, but it does not last long and it isn't overwhelming. The middle notes are jasmine and rose, but it's Grasse rose. It's rose from Grasse, France, which if you have done any research into fragrance, the creation of fragrance, Grasse in the south of France is known for almost being, I don't want to say the birthplace of fragrance, because, you know, clearly it's not, but it was the seat of fragrance for many, many, many kings and queens and royalty, because it's known to have climate and weather to grow some of the most beautiful aromatic flowers. So a lot of your really high-end, very, very expensive fragrances come from flowers or oils that come from Grasse in France. So it is the Grasse rose and neroli and the jasmine, and then the base notes are tonka bean, which is unusual in this type of fragrance, sandalwood, vanilla, and musk. And it's just musk, not white musk. And combined, all I can say is it just smells amazing. It is a warm fragrance. The vanilla and the musk and the sandalwood warm it up. So it is a warm fragrance. The tonka bean, which kind of you find in a lot of fragrances that have coffee, kind of gives it a grounding. So you're not smelling like woody musk. I think the tonka bean really lends to round out that base so that you get the woody, vanilla. It's just a warmed up feeling, like almost like a cozy hug. That's the way I would describe how that tonka bean rounds out those base notes. The rose and the jasmine are not overwhelming. You're not going to smell like a 3-day-old rose that's so intense that you just don't want to take it. They combine together to make a beautiful floral lingering scent. And I think the vanilla, even though it's in the base, comes through early enough that it balances out those two florals. So you get a very soft floral. They're not an in-your-face rose. Even though it is that beautiful Grasse rose, it's not a cloying rose. So it opens with a citrusy, very light white floral opening. Then you get into the jasmine and the Grasse rose, which again, you start to already get the warmth of the sandalwood and the vanilla coming through. The musk, I find that comes way later, and the tonka bean I think comes through sort of halfway through the dry down. I don't think it, the musk is like the last thing to come up. I don't get a musky scent from this. I get a beautiful, warm floral, not a spicy floral, not even really a citrusy floral, because that bergamot does not last long. It sort of opens as a fresh opening to it and then dries down into that beautiful woody, rosy, warm vanilla, slightly sweet, but not an overly sweet. In fact, I would not call this a sweet fragrance. I would call this sort of an oriental type floral, because I think the vanilla and the neroli and the sandalwood and musk kind of push it a little toward the oriental, but maybe a floriental. It's fresh, it's floral, it's a warm, it's fantastic for the fall. I think that's really the time for this fragrance to shine. I think it was the perfect time to release it because it's the Eau Intense, so it is a little bit stronger. I find the longevity to me, I think, was anywhere from, I'm gonna say 5 to 6 hours, maybe a little bit longer. The sillage on it, the projection was, I would say in the beginning, for the first 3 hours, I would say it left a nice scent trail. After about 3 hours, maybe arm's length leaning toward a skin scent. But that may be the way I spray it because I do not spray on a lot. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't want to be the one that people smell before they see. So that is entirely up to you how much you spray of this. But it is definitely a longer lasting and a better projecting fragrance, I think, than the original Joy. I think it is a more enjoyable fragrance. I think it's a little more of a complex fragrance. I think it's a little more out of the box different. It's not the usual crowd pleasing. I think this one is just different enough to add to a collection. So I would have to say I do recommend this one. I love it. I can see wearing this all through the fall and the winter. I probably would wear this right into the spring. So that's all I have for this week. I hope you enjoyed. I forgot to even say the day. I don't know the date. I think it's the 15th. It is Sunday. So hopefully I will wish you all a good week. Hopefully I will see you again next weekend, possibly during the week. You never know when a vlog may pop up. But until then, remember always to knit with sense.